Yeah. It is time. You will not survive. Let's fucking do it.
What's up, everybody? This is the PlayStation Lifestyle Underground podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of the PlayStation Lifestyle.net forums. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz _420. And I got two other dudes with me today. You guys want to say hello?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Steve Bitto. I'm the community manager for PlayStation Lifestyle. You can find me on the forums as Steven Bitto, and you can find me on PlayStation Network as TYLERxDURDEN.
And hey guys, I'm Juan. I'm just a reader of the website, and you can find me on PSN as Jakman1997 and the forums as Juan Ibarra.
Awesome. And lately, sure, this will come as a big surprise, but I've been playing a lot of racing games. Project Cars, Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, Drive Club. Also been getting a little back into PC racing sims, iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and Race Room. Last week I finished Far Cry 4's Valley of the Yetis DLC. Also finished and got the Platinum for Uncharted 2 with remote play on Vita, mostly. Also been getting back into Fallout 4. I love that game. It's just it's like a
That's cool.
Pretty huge commitment of time, which is kind of why I took a hiatus from it. But yeah, I love the game, and it's just so much left to do, and I've already been playing it for like 50 hours at least too. Also on a sale, I got a motorcycle racing game called Ride, and it's actually very good. It's made by the same people who make Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, and they make a bunch of racing games for PS4, like the MXGP, MotoGP, and yeah, they typically do some solid racing games. So got that on sale, and that's about it. Other than been playing a little bit of Badland on the Vita as well, but that's it for me. What have you guys been playing lately?
I've been getting into a lot of Star Wars Battlefront lately. I made a little trade for it on Craigslist, and I got that on the Classics pack. I only played a little bit Super Star Wars, but I've been playing a lot of Star Wars Battlefront. I actually enjoy it quite a bit, although I definitely see all the knocks against it. It is like so approachable, but that just doesn't give you a whole lot of room to grow. You know, I feel like in my first day or two, I was kind of like as good as I was gonna be, and that's kind of fine. You know, I don't really play online games a whole lot just because the learning curve usually is so deep. You know, you got to play so long to really get some enjoyment out of it. So I don't know, I kind of like it. I think it's cool because that allows you to come back. You don't have to be dedicated to it for a long time. You can kind of come back to it whenever you want, and it's Star Wars, so it's always relevant. It's always fun to play. So, I like it, and since I got it kind of cheap, I probably won't be too adverse to getting the season pass. But we'll see about that. I'm not 100% sure on that yet.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. Have you guys played it?
Yeah.
Not since the
fun.
beta.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I enjoy it as well. I don't own it, but I've rented it a few times just because I like playing for spurts, a couple hours, and then I'm done with it. So it's a fun game.
Yeah, and like I said, since it's so approachable, that's not even a problem. You just come back and you're not really any better or worse than when you left. It's just as fun, you know? I feel like with a Call of Duty or Battlefield, if you did that with a game like that, the learning curve's too steep. You would just not enjoy it for the 4 days you were playing it, and then you'd be done with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Not for me. I mean, I get to a certain point where even if I go back to Call of Duty Black Ops or Battlefield 4, and even if it's been months, I'll actually be very good at it still. But I have to actually get to that certain point first before I'll be able to do that. So I know what you mean. Like if you haven't played a lot of it, like when you're starting out, going back to it might be difficult for some games. But I think once you get to a certain point, you'll be fine. Like I'm fine personally. Like Killzone, same thing. Once I put a certain amount of hours into a multiplayer game, I'll be good, even if I take months off, usually. But yeah, I see what you're saying with Battlefront, and it seems like there's a lot of younger players or newbie players, I guess, which probably also makes it pretty fun because I personally have a lot of fun beating up on noobs. I'm not one of these people that like a challenge or like to play against pro players. I actually kind of hate playing against pro players because they put way too much time into the game.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think generally it has that reputation for just being like so casual that so many people are just kind of playing it here and there,
Yeah.
So it is definitely a noob fest a lot of the time. I notice that myself too.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I guess I'll transition into my games. I haven't been playing a lot. Well, I've been playing Rocket League, as always. And I've sort of been in like a weird transition period of games, not really playing anything. I decided, because I've been bored with games, I decided to play the remake of the original Resident Evil, which I bought like the weekend after it came out on PS4 like last year. Never played it, so I just decided, okay, I guess I might as well play it now. And it's good. I'm playing it on very, very easy, just so that way I can finish it. And I play it in the daytime because I'm a baby, so that's fun. It's a fun game. I haven't been playing a lot on Vita. I got a new phone, and on my phone, I was able to find a way to connect my PS4 to it via remote play, which is pretty cool, and my controller via Bluetooth. So occasionally I'll try playing on that, and I'll play like something simple like Resident Evil, or something that doesn't require a lot of internet. I played some of Broforce with that, and that was pretty cool. Other than that, I haven't been playing anything a lot. I'm just waiting for Uncharted 4, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for Ratchet and Clank, actually.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be
definitely.
here soon.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's what,
little over a week.
Yeah,
2 weeks or a week from Tuesday, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, what's it called? Uncharted and Fallout are actually really good for remote play. But this week we wanted to discuss like the reasons why we think PlayStation exclusives are the best, or really more like what exclusives the PlayStation has that kind of sets them apart from the rest, and like what best represents PlayStation exclusives and what they're all about. I'm gonna start with Journey. It's an amazing game. It's just like a very different type of experience. I mean, it kind of harkens back to like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus in some ways, but it's a short experience, but it's a memorable one, and I still replay it from time to time. I absolutely love it. I still think one of the best things about it is the soundtrack. I think that's like half of what makes that game so great, but it's just a really, really cool game. It implemented multiplayer in a really cool way, where players just kind of drop in and out depending on how far away they get from you. And it's a very unique game and a really, really good one. Like, it was my game of the year for 2012, and it's really one of my one of my favorite games of all time. I think if I was gonna pick two games like to tell someone to get on PS3 that shows them what PlayStation exclusives were all about, that would be one of them. Definitely Journey. But you guys have played that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So What do you guys like it as much as I did? You played it any more than once, or just one time?
I think I played it
What about you,
once. Oh no, yeah, I played it once, and then I don't think I don't know if I played it again, or if I just went through and found like all of the little things I had to collect. I don't know what I had to collect. Maybe the scarves, maybe the signs. I don't remember what I had to collect, but you collect a lot of things and you get more scarf, and then there's like a point where like you can collect everything and you can become the white scarf person.
Yep.
And so I did that because I thought that was really cool. But I don't know how many times I played it. Probably like once, like 1.5 or so. But it was cool to be the white scarf person because then you could fly really high.
Yeah, well, it basically, every time you hit the ground, it starts regenerating your scarves. So basically, you can get through the game way faster. Like I've done it in under an hour with the white robe. And I think, yeah, with the white robe, it's really, really cool. Also, another really cool thing to do is like if you actually find an online partner that sticks with you through to the end, it's pretty. I don't know, it's a pretty cool feeling. Another cool thing is if you find an online partner and like they don't really know where everything is, and you kind of show them where things are, and it's like I feel like that's another gratifying way to play it, and one of the reasons why it's pretty replayable, other than just being able to go through it again and listen to the soundtrack. I really enjoy replaying it. But what about you, Steve?
I played it twice. I played it when it came out. I bought it and I remember sitting up. It was like I was working night shift at the time, and it was one of my days off. So on those days off, I would still stay up all night. So it was probably like 2 a.m. I started playing and just played all the way through. And it's so quiet, like in that house. It's just around too. There's no traffic, no anything. And it was kind of like one of those like perfect settings for that game, where there's like no other like stimuli except that game, and it's just so powerful, like such a powerful experience. And then when it came out for PS4 and it was cross-buy, we all had it already, so I played it again, and it was just as good as I remember. One thing I always loved about it, like you guys said, like playing with other people, I've always loved that there's no voice chat, it's just so like body language and like directional and kind of primitive, but so powerful at the same time. And then I also obviously love in the credits when it says these are the people like you played with.
Yeah.
These are the people who also like helped you on your journey. Like that's it's just so cool. The presentation of it all is just so perfect.
Yeah, it's an awesome game. When do you guys want to go next?
Steve?
Yeah, sure, I'll go next. My first nomination for why, PS exclusives really set themselves apart was it's Little Big Planet. It just was such like a interesting move for Sony, like who had at that point, I think their exclusive like Resistance and stuff like that, and for PS3. And and I think Killzone 2 was out by that point, was it? Or was that shortly after?
I think it was out. Yeah.
Well, regardless, they had more of like an adult tone as they had done with PS3, but this really is kind of like a Disney movie, brought young people and old people all together to enjoy the same thing for different reasons, And I thought that was such a cool thing, and just the tools of it all. I remember I played in the alpha, I played in the beta, and that was kind of like early on when people were doing that, because that wasn't really a thing on PS2, obviously. Just being a part of that from the very, very beginning is so awesome, and it was so cool to see people build things. Just seeing a community like really like build from scratch and like learn from scratch. I really loved that.
Yeah, it was a cool game. I remember the first one, the original one. I think I was in 7th grade whenever it came out, and I got a PS3 for my birthday, and I had these friends of mine three friends of mine, and there was 4 of us, and we would they would stay at my house, and then we would stay up the whole night just playing that game, just like taking turns. Even if we didn't have 4 controllers, it'd be like 2 of them at least, and then we would just take turns and play a lot of games, have a lot of fun with like the different levels people made, even if they were like shit levels. Like someone attached like a grabbable fabric to some like piece of chicken or something like that, and we just flew around with that, and that was really dumb, but we had fun with it, and I have a lot of good memories with that game from the very zany, creative, sensical things.
Yeah, I actually remember drawing out like diagrams in my notebooks of levels I could build. I think only like 10% of those made it to the game, but I always loved kind of just dreaming up these crazy levels and that's the other thing too, is just like that engineering mindset you have to figure out how to use those tools to make something work in the game. And you just kind of got to experiment, and it was such like a cool little playground, which, as far as consoles go, at least, that hadn't really been done to that extent yet in games. And I thought that was a really cool way to kind of like kick that whole, play, create, share thing off on PlayStation, which, they echoed in some of their other games, but that was kind of one of the first.
Yeah. I remember after that, they had Mod Nation Racers from United Front Games, I believe, and they had Race, Create, Share, very similar aspect. Didn't fare as well as Little Planet, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was decent. It's just like it wasn't a special. Like I think it's those kind of kart racers. It's hard for them to succeed unless they somehow capture what is great about Mario Kart. Because I mean, they were good games, but like compared to Mario Kart, like Little Big Planet Karting and Mod Nation Racers just were not even close to as fun as Mario Kart.
I totally forgot that game even exists. The karting.
Yeah.
Forgot that even existed.
And it's like they were both pretty good. It's just that like it's kind of hard to compete with Mario Kart, even though it's not even on the same platform. It's still like when you play a karting game, I think most of us think of Mario Kart because pretty much all of us played it. Like,
is the super popular. That's the one to reach for.
Yeah, and it's like.
Well, I think you really need like a franchise that fits that well. Like even Crash Team Racing was actually pretty popular and really well received.
That's true.
And that's largely because the franchise of Crash was doing so well at the time. It was so popular. People wanted just more of that, however they could get it. And unfortunately, like Mod Nation Racers, especially, starting a new IP with like kind of completely like unknown characters. I mean, you're drawing on people only that want to play a kart racer, not necessarily the fact they love these characters. And I think that's an uphill battle, when you're kicking off a kart racer.
Also, I do think that Crash Team Racing was actually a very good game, from what I hear. I didn't play much of it, but I mean, I heard it was excellent, which is I think probably part of the reason why it was successful while others have failed. But one thing cool about Mod Racing Racers was the creative aspect. You could create your own racetracks, which is like something that Gran Turismo kind of picked up. And they're letting you make tracks to a certain extent, and it's a really awesome thing for that type of game. But for the karting, it's just kind of that's not going to drive you to play the game, being able to create tracks. Although it is a very cool feature, and it was pretty extensive what you could do with it. Like you could control elevation and everything, which was really, really cool. But Juan, you wanna go next, or did you already go?
No, I didn't go. I'll go next. That was gonna be mine actually, but I have another one here as a backup. This one, I don't know if it's a great example of showing off PlayStation, only because its servers were taken down, but I think MAG should be mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Only because it was amazing what you could like what they did with that. I forget what the actual player count was. What was it, 256?
Yep.
Yeah, 256 players at one time. The lag, occasionally I would see it in one of those games, but it was pretty minimal. It was, I don't know, like you point to like PC games that have pretty large player counts and stuff, and and now you have the PS4 and the Xbox One that are touting like, hey, look at us, we have increased player count, and like Battlefield 4 or what's it called, or no, Hardline and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, look at this, and now there's 40 players as opposed to the 20 or whatever there was on PS3 and 360. Whenever the PS3 had a game that had 256 players,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
The only thing is I don't think they ever got together in the same area. Like, I don't know how it worked exactly, but it's like
it was,
as long as I
it was
played
weird.
that, I never saw 256 players together.
Yeah,
But,
it was like different sections of the map were like different bases, and then most people spawned in their own bases, so then all the action was splintered off into different sections. Like if it was I don't know, different areas of battle, stuff like that.
Yeah. But
it was cool. I mean, a lot of the mode, like there was like 5 modes. It was very limited whenever it first started, so I think that that was a bad thing for it from the beginning, because it was very small. It had some problems. I remember it also didn't feel as good in the shooting and stuff. I remember it felt really watery, very fluid, but like not good fluid. It was just sort of uncomfortable. Like, I didn't know if I was hitting anyone.
I was actually really into it myself, and my brother and I played quite a bit, because we were like the biggest SOCOM fans, so we were like all behind anything Zipper made at the time, and the balancing was pretty poor, actually. I don't know if you remember, but like it was pretty cut and dry which team would win which match.
I remember one of the teams was always the winner. It was like the orange one, whoever they were.
Sever.
Yeah.
That was like the ragtag kind of like communist team.
Yeah,
Sever.
they were always the winners in a lot of the things. Almost everything.
And then me and my brother were Raven. They were like the technologically superior.
So was I.
one.
Yeah, I liked Raven.
And they were kind of the middle of the road. They won their maps, but they had a hard time winning the other maps. And then the other one was
the basic.
Crap, I can't remember the other one.
I don't remember either, but it was like a
like
basic army men type of thing.
Yeah, commando type.
Yeah. And that one.
And they stomped.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very poorly balanced. There was bad mechanics. One could point to that as to Zipper's beginning of the downfall, which did SOCOM 4, was it? Came out after that? Or was that before that?
Right.
It was after.
It came out after, and it was
and
terrible.
That was already bad, yeah.
It's one of the worst things that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Did Starhawk come out after SOCOM 4, though?
Starhawk came out, I think, a few years after? Because that came out, what, 20...
That was a different developer, though.
Yeah, that was
Starhawk
Black Box.
That was Lightbox. No, that was Lightbox.
Lightbox, Black Box. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they made that. Oh, well.
No, they did SOCOM 4, then Zipper, and then Unit 13, and that was it for them.
Yeah, I am pretty sure that SOCOM 4 came out in 2011. But
sounds about right.
It came out with the PlayStation. What's the gun called?
Yeah, the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I remember a couple months later, Resistance 3 came out. That was definitely 2011, and it had the sharpshooter as well. But yeah, like pushing the player count high wasn't something, something that PS3 did a couple times. Like even on day one, Resistance Fallen Man had 40 players. And dedicated servers, and Killzone 2
Resistance 2 at a time
60. Killzone 2 had 32
cool.
and dedicated servers. Resistance 2 had 60 players, which I actually didn't like Resistance 2's online very much, but it was there. Something that Sony was doing that the competition really wasn't, like pushing the high player counts. Like it's only been recently surpassed by PlanetSide 2. But like other than that, I don't think anything has had as many players as Mag. 256
Yeah.
is pretty high number.
It's really unfortunate they didn't have a chance to follow that up, because I think the technical like structure of it all worked pretty well. I think had they had a chance to kind of like bring in some more seasoned like first person shooter team members,
Yeah.
I think they could have ironed out a lot of the kinks, and the next one could have been really good, and probably with quite a bit more content.
Mhm.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's dead now, and I still see copies being sold at stores, even though the servers don't work.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Unfortunately. On to the
Shame.
next one, I guess.
But I guess I'll go next. Heavy Rain. It's like I thought it was a great game, but it's also definitely a very unique game. That's for sure. And it's just one of those examples of games that Sony has done or they put their faith in that you just don't see happening on other platforms. I mean, really, the closest thing to like a Heavy Rain or the type of stuff that Sony does is Alan Wake, which is what was so surprising to me about Alan Wake when I played it on PC is that it to me it totally felt in like a PlayStation exclusive, like just because it is very unique type of game, story based, very cool, and that it had like very different gameplay from what I was used to. But Heavy Rain though, I mean, all the different choices you can make, the fact that all four of the main characters could die if you made the wrong choices.
Yeah.
Very, very cool game. I thought that the story was great. I thought it was a great game. I mean, they followed it up with Beyond Two Souls, which is also a very unique game that you typically would only see on PlayStation, but it had a little less choice, which led to some people liking it a little less. But more recently, Until Dawn, which is kind of the same formula, but taken even further. By all accounts, it's an incredible game, but I think all three of those are kind of in the same vein, but they're also great examples of PlayStation just being different, and they really represent the type of exclusives that PlayStation is willing to support. And
right, that's kind of what I was going to say, is that you look at all three of those games, and they're great ideas, and they play so well.
Yep.
They do what they want to do so well. Yet there's no guarantee that any of those would be like a really great, financial success.
yeah.
Yet they just knew that they were a good idea, that they would work. So they said, "This is a good game. It'll sell on its I don't know what the word is. Sell on its own merits,
Yeah, which is good because I mean they did actually sell, which is really awesome because it is the type of thing that I think most publishers would consider super risky, but it worked out for Sony. Like I know Heavy Rain sold a lot. I think it was in PS3's Greatest Hits collection, which I think means it sold at least 1 million. I mean, it probably sold a couple million. Beyond Two Souls, I know sold over 1 million.
Sold a couple.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I'd say Heavy Rain probably sold like 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked it up before, but I know Beyond Two Souls hit, won over 1 million, I believe. And then Until Dawn was actually pretty successful too. I'm not sure,
so.
but I assume it did because I remember them saying that the sales numbers were really good, and also, I mean, the buzz around it was pretty huge. Like for a game that they didn't market at all, that like there was a ton of people talking about it. So I'd be surprised if it didn't cross 1 million.
Yeah, so VG charts, which is take with a grain of salt type thing,
Yeah.
but they have it at 1.48.
Oh, cool. That's good.
So it's, even if it's inaccurate, it's over 1 million.
They're
for
usually
sure.
pretty accurate, though. Like I mean, it depends.
Yeah,
Like sometimes
right.
they do make total guesses, but for stuff like that's been out for a while, they're usually within the ballpark pretty closely. I think all three of those are great example of like the type of variety you get from PlayStation exclusives that you just don't see on other platforms. And I'm looking forward to see what Quantic Dream does next with Detroit. and also Supermassive. I don't know if they'll do another game of that formula, but I'm definitely looking forward to whatever they do.
Yeah, I like Heavy Rain in the fact that it whenever I bought Heavy Rain, I played it through on my own. Oh, this is pretty cool. And at the time, I had my two sisters living here at home with me, and most of them were never into games besides, like, as children, they played Mario here and there, but that's it. And I got both of them to play through it once each one, because, it's such a unique type of game to where really anyone can, like, play it. I mean, the controls are a little wonky, but once you get past that, it's fine. And I got them to play it. I watched it like 4 or 5 times because I got different members of my family to play it that don't usually play a lot of games like I do. And in that way, it was pretty cool. I like it was like a very nice experience to have to just experience that together with them. Yeah. Let's see. Steve, do you want to go ahead with another one, or?
Yeah, sure. I got kind of like 2 that are kind of the same. So my next one is Infamous and Gravity Rush. I feel like Sony just has such a good job, does such a good job of just creating these like superhero-like characters of their own,
Yeah.
Like if you look back to like the PS2, PS1, like so many attempts to make like already known superheroes popular, and it's such a challenge to make these licensed games, So what they did is they just went out and they made up their own superheroes with these awesome powers that just feel so good. In both instances, Gravity Rush was a little rough around the edges on Vita just because it's a little harder to control directionally the way that game worked. I still thought it was fine myself, but I know people had issues with that. Infamous, on the other hand, is stellar. It feels so good. You literally feel the power of Cole while you're playing.
Yeah, damn, the game was so good.
Or Delson.
Even though the story in Second Son wasn't fantastic,
It was not.
The gameplay was the best of all the games, and it
so
just
amazing.
Definitely.
all those powers just they just channeled them so much. They just felt so good, and I think that just says a lot about what Sony can do when they put their power behind like a character like that. And I think I have a lot of respect for them, taking a chance on a completely new IP with completely new characters and just like basically creating their own superhero. In an age where so many, I mean, you look at these DC and Marvel movies, and they each have like so many stupid heroes that have every stupid power, there's, literally like they have every base, everything you can imagine covered. Yet Sony comes up with these guys that are totally original and totally feel cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
The other thing that was really cool about Infamous is the fact that it wasn't just like general powers like you see in regular comic books. It was like, you were able to control certain materials and stuff, like especially in Second Son, where it's like you had the neon powers, the video powers, the smoke powers, concrete, paper, which is one we didn't get to actually use, but it was there.
Unfortunately,
but, that was another cool thing. But also, and one of the things that made the first one so great is just how incredibly dark the story was. Like it wasn't, like a popcorn type, blockbuster movie type video game. Like it was more like a graphic novel, I guess you could say.
Very
like it was
gritty one.
Gritty, like a really gritty and cool story. And like that is something that Sony is not afraid to do, is for like grittiness. Like Resistance, the whole series is very gritty and incredibly bleak as far as like the outlook.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny you say Resistance because I was kind of like I was letting that go because that's kind of what I was thinking, but I thought you would have that because I know you love Resistance.
Yeah.
And exactly the way I thought of it was that it's not like that popcorn flick like Halo. It's so like teen. It's rated teen. It's targeted teens. It's kind of lame looking. But like Resistance has that total bleak look. The Chimera they look terrifying, really.
Yeah.
they really do look like they would just like demolish humans and really just eat them alive. And back to Infamous, you're right, like the dark bleakness of it all, people actually dying and like really not much hope, in general.
Yeah.
And you're right, they did a great job with that and making it that's just one more way they made those characters their own.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the Metro series almost feels like kind of like a spiritual PlayStation exclusive, because it's also in that same vein, very dark and bleak type of story. And Resistance, that movie, what was the name of it? The Tom Cruise movie?
Oblivion?
No. The one with
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, bingo. Thank you. So I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Like, brain fart. The story of that movie, the way the aliens like came in and just kind of swept across Europe, that totally reminded me of Resistance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was another thing that was really bleak about Resistance. It's not just like how scary the Chimera were, but how fast they were able to build things and they're able to just invade and take over big areas of the world. Back to Infamous. It's just an awesome series, and like I would say that Second Son has some of the best third-person shooter gameplay of any game. Like and the other cool thing is that it's not cover-based. Like it a little bit reminds me of Just Cause 3, because that's also one that's not cover-based. And you have a lot of freedom of movement, and it also has like very good gameplay, but Infamous, I think, takes it even a step further with all the different powers like that you have, and there's a lot of unique ways that you can do things, which makes it hella fun. And I noticed, like, I was watching Quantum Break gameplay, and it actually borrows quite a lot from Resistance, which I think is why it'll be a fun game to play. But like, I noticed a lot of things, like as far as slowing down time, or it kind of reminded me of like the stasis bubble at certain points, and like how you can dart around. Totally reminded me of Infamous. So it's like flat. I don't know what the saying is, but copying or imitation is the best form of flattery. Might be the phrase I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Right.
And Infamous is awesome, but totally unique too. But Juan, you wanna give another one?
Yeah. My next one's a little bit of a cop-out. Well, no. Because the original one was on PS2 only, and it continues to be to this day. Actually, is that true? Yeah. The first one's only on PlayStation, which is Kingdom Hearts. And Kingdom Hearts, I think, is I don't know, it's very influential in my childhood, and I'm sure in tons of other people too, because it provided a gateway for me from, playing licensed games into, like, oh, what's this? Final Fantasy. That's weird. They have some weird hair and some weird costume designs. And I would, like, look it up. It's like, oh, okay, who's this guy? Like, like in the first one, there's this part where you fight Cloud in the Hercules Coliseum, and I mean, the fact that sentence is a real thing blows my mind. You're in the Hercules Coliseum, in the Disney Hercules Coliseum. You're fighting Cloud with a key, with a giant key, while Donald and Goofy are at your side fighting with you. That's a ridiculous, crazy statement that I just love that exists. I think that helped a ton of people like me get further into different varieties of games, including more RPGs and as well as different styles of games, as opposed to just your everyday beat 'em ups based on TV shows or movies. Did you guys play Kingdom Hearts? Any of them?
I tried. I didn't play it on PS2, and I bought the remixes for PS3, and I just couldn't do it. I just hated the gameplay so much. The third person, kind of fighting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so. The detection is just. It was just terrible.
Yeah, for the first one you're talking about?
Yeah.
The first one is a little bit of I wouldn't say it's terrible because it's a lot better than it than it used to be. Because some of the moves have been updated, they've added some stuff to it, or in the final mix version at least, from when I played when I was a kid. And yeah, it's improved, but it certainly isn't great. The second one though,
Yeah, unfortunately, like I just hate that. I wish it was more of like a turn-based thing, or just so you didn't even have to use those mechanics like at all.
yeah,
Like that's what I loved. Like, not to change the subject too much, but Final Fantasy VII with the active time battle
Mhm.
system, not so much that, but a turn-based battle system. You take all those stupid movement mechanics out of there, because it just never feels that good. Running around like an idiot, trying to sneak in a hit here and there, like. It's stupid. I'd rather just have turn-based instead of deal with those
yeah.
mechanics.
And you see, whenever I played Kingdom Hearts the first time, I would meet these characters, and whenever I looked them up and I found out they were from a series called Final Fantasy, because I had no idea that existed at the time, I played a turn-based game, which usually I never would do, because I was like, you're a kid. Well, at least for me in my era, I didn't care about turn-based. I was like, that's boring. Why do I want to wait for my turn when I can just attack right now?
Yeah.
And so whenever I looked it up on Final Fantasy, I was like, I know who these characters are now. I've had some experience with them. I've talked to them in these games and stuff. I'll give it a shot because I recognize the faces, and I played them. And that's whenever I start to learn more about a different genre, and I started to appreciate turn-based a little more. So it was it's like a gateway.
Hugo, what do you got for us? Anything else?
Yeah, I was thinking that we're like instead of taking turns, we can just name some stuff and like we'll get ready to wrap it up. But one of the ones that comes to mind is definitely Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Although that type of game definitely isn't exclusive to PlayStation, it is like an example of a game that is very different to the norm, and it is a PlayStation exclusive. But actually, I want to mention one that we haven't played yet, but definitely feels like a PlayStation exclusive, and it is technically kind of, but it's just like a very forward-thinking and unique, innovative type game. No Man's Sky. Like it is a console exclusive on PlayStation, so it's not a full exclusive, but still to me, it feels like a spiritual exclusive to PlayStation, and I'm really interested to see how it all works out. Sony has supported it pretty extensively, and it's definitely a very unique type of experience that will definitely fit in with PlayStation's catalog of games for sure. And right now I'm having some technical difficulties.
No, I can't wait for it to come out. I'm a little disappointed that PSVR didn't line up with it,
I'm
though.
back.
Yeah, same here. I hear him a little bit now.
Yeah, I'm back. So did you guys hear me before I left? Got
We
disconnected.
heard you say No
bit.
Man's Sky, and that's it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I did say a few things. So, but about just about it being like it definitely fits in with PlayStation's catalog of games, and like it's just only like a unique and innovative type game that one of the it's like kind of like one of the ideas that kind of feels like next gen, that term that people love to throw around. But what do you guys think? Do you think it is definitely like one of the exclusives that represent PlayStation well?
Yeah, I feel like this generation, there hasn't been a whole lot yet for PlayStation's first parties, so it's been mostly second parties. And this one definitely feels like the game that Sony like put a lot of energy behind, despite there's no guarantee that it'll be a financial success.
Yeah.
So I think the way they are about original ideas like that has always been part of their DNA, and that's what really makes them special. And I think you're right that No Man's Sky will be a great example of that.
Yeah, right when it was announced, like I was thinking, so this would be perfect for Sony to get as an exclusive because it fits in so well. And they did. I mean, although it is coming to PC, it's definitely a PS4 console exclusive. So I think we should count it as an exclusive, basically. Yeah, you guys have any other examples of games?
That's about it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have like two quick mentions. I'm gonna combine them because they're pretty much the same stuff.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, only because they were some of the best platformers. I would say Jak and Daxter more so because I'm biased. Also because it has more platforming as opposed to more shooting in Ratchet and Clank. But they were really cool for whenever I was growing up playing games. Really creative, cartoony. They have their own lore. Very good dialogue and great storytelling, stuff like that. In the case of Jak and Daxter, it was a good intro into what we would see Naughty Dog turn into as they go forward into Uncharted and furthermore into The Last of Us, because of big overarching storyline, which they handled the storytelling better as the Uncharted games went along, and dialogue was good. It just it's like a good stepstone or a good stepping stone to see them as they grow into who they are today.
And I was actually thinking of mentioning Knack, and it kind of fits in with those, like as 3D platformers, very cartoony.
Yeah.
That was why I enjoyed it. Like it's definitely, I'd say it's an underrated game. Not the greatest, but I still think that Knack is pretty damn good for what it is. The only other thing that comes to mind, it's kind of thinking more back to when it came out, but Gran Turismo is definitely like when it came out, there were nothing even close to being realistic. And the fact that Sony, put a lot of money into it and it became such a massive success is like, I think that's another good example of the type of things that Sony will do with their exclusives. Because at the time everything was arcade racing, nothing realistic at all on console especially. But Gran Turismo took the world by storm, and Gran Turismo 1 is still the number one highest selling game on PS1. I think Gran Turismo 3 is the highest selling exclusive Sony's ever had, period. And
I think so.
Gran Turismo 5 is definitely the highest selling exclusive on PS3, and it's also, I think, like the third highest or fourth, because I forgot about GTA 5, fourth highest selling game on PS3, period. So it's like I think that's a good example because it's definitely kind of, people look at it as like more of a niche genre, yet it's wildly successful, just because of the way Sony handled it and the faith they put in Polyphony Digital. So I would keep that as an example, although Xbox is trying the hardest to capture some of that success with the Forza series, but they haven't quite gotten even close to Gran Turismo yet. So, but yeah, that's about it. We'll wrap it up now. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.